Dragon Ball Sparking Zero just got even better. Let's talk about it. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the brand new patch that just released for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I believe this is version 1.004, and it's a step in the right direction. They definitely made some changes and some improvements that make the game better, in my opinion, but they made a couple of changes to one thing, or maybe let's just say one character in specific, that seem a bit controversial for a lot of people. So let's go ahead and dive in. First things first, if we jump over to Twitter, we see a couple of days ago, we got this tweet right here. The Dragon Ball Games account that said that an update patch for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was planned. It was coming around late October. They didn't specify what day. Here we are 6 days later, we have the patch. Not even a full week later we got it, which obviously it was already the middle of October when they tweeted this. We knew it was going to be coming soon. And we had a small list of some bullet points of things that they were going to change. This video I could have had up last night because I was awake at 4 a.m. Eastern when the patch went live, and I did some testing and everything like that, just to see what changes there were. And they didn't drop any patch notes or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'll wait till I wake up the next day or later today to record this video in case there's patch notes of anything else that they changed or did. And lo and behold, there weren't really any notes to talk about. So if we take a look back at the account, you know, they talked about the patch going live. They also made this tweet right here that says the patch is now live. Also, we are aware of some remaining issues and are investigating. Character rank reset to 0. I haven't experienced this myself, but I've heard some of you guys mention it in the comments or in the Twitch chat when I'm streaming. Connection errors and online matching issues, corrupted save data, and they said that they apologize to all affected players and thank you for your patience. So no real mention of any upcoming patch addressing these issues. Obviously that's implied, but it's not outright stated. You would assume that they are working on this and that they are trying to get a patch for these extra issues as soon as possible. So fingers crossed, here's hoping. Like I said, the patch that we just got, it's not huge. It's a step in the right direction, but hopefully this is a pattern of behavior that we see continued over a period of time. And honestly, for the longevity and lifespan of this game, I hope that we continue to see them make improvements, adjustments, and fix any issues that exist. So what are some of the things that actually got fixed in this update? Well, as soon as the patch went live, the first thing I did was actually check out Yajirobe because they mentioned him specifically in this tweet that they made, but we'll get to that in just a moment. I also want to make note that this is the homie Balvin, by the way. He and I went online to test the controller like mechanics glitch or whatever. As he notes here, the Sparking Zero patch fixed the classic standard controller bug. Standard players can tag out and classic users can use their supers. Thank God. Side note, tagging enough was way more responsive. I felt way less for the license-free patch. Him getting his menu up to tag did seem a little bit more robust, maybe a little bit more snappy. That could be placebo. But what we did test and find is that you guys know the bug that you would get sometimes where you're playing with your friends or just playing online and you're playing DP battle and you could not switch your characters. They fixed that. Honestly, big W. It is very unfortunate the game shipped with that issue in the first place, but they got it resolved. That was one of the biggest issues I believe that the game currently had, mechanic wise or just like functionality wise. So I'm very glad to see that that has been fixed. Also, you would sometimes get locked out of one of your supers. That has also been fixed as far as we can tell from our testing, which I'm very, very happy to see. If you weren't aware of what was causing this glitch in the first place, basically if a player who was on standard played against a player who was on classic controls, you'd get locked out of like one of your supers and your ability to tag out. It wasn't always both players. I think it's normally actually only one player, but that would pretty much cause it to happen. Why? I don't know, but it looks like they resolved it, so hooray. Now, let's talk about Yajirobe. In the tweet that they originally put out, mentioning that there would be some adjustments, they said there would be an adjustment to Yajirobe's stats. And an adjustment to Yajirobe's stats there were indeed. So as you can see, I put out this tweet 4:18 in the morning. It was one of the first things I checked. Yajirobe's Sensu Bean skill now costs 6 skill count instead of 5. Also, he now starts a match with 0 skill count instead of 2. His health has also been reduced from 3 health bars to 2.5. You can see his Sensu Bean skill. I should have actually, when I took this screenshot, I could have sworn I was hovering over Sensu Beans, but I guess I wasn't. That defeats the point of this screenshot. I'm only just now realizing. But anyway, this is a screenshot I took on my PlayStation 5 without updating the game. You can see this is, as soon as you jump into training mode, it has 2 skill count and 3 full health bars. And then this is my PC version of the game. I do have the game on both platforms now, FYI. Just haven't pointed that out yet. Not important. But you see, he still has like the 3 stocks up here, but this third health bar is not full. So he now has 2.5 health bars, and also his skill count starts at 0. So let's talk about this. As you can see, this tweet ended up getting a lot of engagement, lots of replies, quote tweets, bookmarks even, and I didn't even look at our replies. I ended up having to mute this because obviously it gained too much traction. It was just clogging my notifications, and there was a lot of controversy, a lot of back and forth, a lot of arguing, and a little bit of toxicity here and there, and I just, I didn't want to deal with all of it, right? But let's talk about it here. Now, I would hope that we can have civil conversation about this in the comments, but I'm obviously going to speak my piece, so you feel free to speak yours as well. I am of the opinion, personally, that this was a fair, deserved, warranted nerf. Okay, from a logical standpoint, I don't really see how you could be upset about this unless you're just some super ultra mega Yajirobe fanboy, which you're not. You're not. Let's be real. You're not. Maybe one or two of you out there. Maybe you just think he's super funny senzu bean guy, and you actually really genuinely like Yajirobe. But in my experience, and in probably most of your guys' experience, if you've played anything past the D ranks, Yajirobe is one of, if not the most played character in ranked DP battle, because he's only 2 points and he's very, very strong. I have seen countless people who very clearly don't play the game or didn't play very much of it online or ranked talking about, oh, wow, they nerf Yajirobe, what a skill issue. Like, I can't believe y'all nerf Yajirobe, da 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 da. Those types of replies only show me that you ain't been playing the game, because Yajirobe is rampant in this game. In the online tournaments that we've seen, in ranked DP battle, like, people throw Yajirobe on every team. You guys haven't seen it yet, but I recorded another ranked video a couple of days ago, yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, my sense of time is all off. But I recorded a ranked video, and there were a lot of Yajirobes, and the number one way I lost, and the way I even won a couple of games in that video, was due to the timer running out. Why? Because people are stalling. The most popular and common strategy right now in this game isn't to beat your opponent. It's not to deplete their health bar by actually fighting. It's stalling, running away, and constantly healing. And that strategy was far too powerful and effective in this game. And so we get into the conversation of balance. And here's how I stand on that, okay? This game, to me, is not meant to be a super competitive, serious fighting game, which then begs the question from people, well, then why did they nerf Yajirobe? If it's not supposed to be balanced, then why do you care? Why is this a good thing? Why should I be agreeing with this? Because think about it like this, right? All players in this game fall into pretty much two camps. There are people who think this game shouldn't be balanced, and it should fall in line with Dragon Ball lore and canonical accuracy and everything like that, like the developers intended. That's what makes it fun and exciting and cool, okay? Then there are people who are like, no, that's stupid. The game should be balanced to some degree, whether or not they want the game to be competitive or whether they want the game to just be more fun. Like, there should be some semblance of balance, right? So whether you fall into either of those two camps, this change falls in line with that. Yajirobe is a 2 DP cost character. He is one of the cheapest characters in the game to add to your team. Therefore, he should be one of the weakest characters in the game. He was not. He was one of the best characters in the game. From a Dragon Ball standpoint, Yajirobe is one of the absolute weakest characters in the verse. You know who some of the other DP cost characters are that are 2 in this game? Master Roshi, a Cyberman. I know it sounds kind of silly at first, but think about it seriously for a moment. A Cyberman should be a lot stronger than Yajirobe. Master Roshi should be a lot stronger than Yajirobe. They weren't. Master Roshi starts off with 2 health bars. Cyberman starts off with 2 health bars. Videl starts off with 2 health bars. I'd make the argument Videl should be a lot stronger than Yajirobe. That one's a little bit more up for debate. But regardless, why did Yajirobe start off with 3 health bars in the first place? He shouldn't. Oh, but Yajirobe's a survivor. He's one of the kids. Like, even in Trunks' timeline, like, he survived. This is what he does. He survived. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Whether you are somebody who's judging it from a gameplay standpoint of balance for the health and the competition and fun of the game, or you want to talk about Dragon Ball lore and accuracy, Yajirobe was top tier. He shouldn't be top tier. Realistically, Yajirobe should be one of the worst characters in the game, and he absolutely wasn't. No matter what camp you lie in, no matter what your stance is, you cannot argue with me that Yajirobe should not be one of the weakest characters in the game. And yes, maybe from a damage stance, from a damage output, he might have been a little bit on the weaker end, but that's not why you play him. You're stalling when you play him. You're not actually trying to beat your opponent, or at least that's how everybody's playing him. Beyond that, I find a lot of irony in the people who talk about, oh man, y'all cried and got what you wanted. Oh, y'all are such cry. Matter of fact, let's do it. Let's scroll through some of these replies. Let's go ahead and scroll through some of these replies. Great job, guys. You've basically killed Yajirobe. Are we gonna nerf Kid Buu and Cooler next because they can regenerate some health? I will say this. I do find it interesting and pretty funny that Yajirobe of all characters was the only one who was specifically targeted, because I am of the belief that Yajirobe was problematic and was ruining the fun of the game online, especially in ranked. However, He's not the only one. I don't even know if he was the most problematic. Androids 19 and 20, Cell, Dr. Wheelo, those characters should also get some sort of changes or adjustments, in my opinion, even if it's not for the sake of like the game being balanced from a competitive standpoint, just from a fun standpoint, and from a standpoint of like what makes the most sense, like logically, and even from a Dragon Ball stance, they're a lot stronger than they should be, no matter how you look at it. Will we get those changes? Will there be more balancing updates and patches? I don't know. I hope so. But I also wouldn't be surprised if there isn't, because I just made that whole video talking about how this game isn't competitive, and that's okay. So again, you have to understand, there are changes I would like to see, but I also have a certain belief or like a perspective on what the game is and what it'll probably end up becoming. So I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself. Maybe to some of you I do sound that way, but I'm trying to make a distinction here, trying to create some sort of understanding. Regardless though, let's keep scrolling. This one is crazy to me. You did it. You actually made them balance the game we all asked not to be balanced before it came out. Y'all trying to make this a competitive game instead of going back to the roots when these games were simple. And just like, first of all, what did I do? I don't like, I didn't do shit. I made a whole video talking about the game is not competitive. You know what I mean? I've made several tweets talking about this as well and had people disagreeing with me. You know what I mean? I've been one of the most vocal people saying this game ain't competitive. And I've been saying it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. This isn't even about the game being competitive. Yajirobe was broken. And I don't even think they over-nerfed him. If we scroll far enough, you probably gonna see replies from people saying like, y'all killed him, y'all ruined him, da-da-da. You could still play him. Oh my God, he got half less of a health bar and less skill gauge, and the skill costs more. That's not even that drastic. Do you know how fast you build skill count in this game? It's pretty damn fast. This is really not that crazy. I think it's justified. People are like overreacting, and it's funny because I saw people calling us like crybabies and shit. Meanwhile, they're crying. They're flooding their tears in the replies. It's asinine. Instead of nerfing him, they just blasted him with a shotgun. Like, this one isn't that crazy, but like, I don't agree. I don't think they blasted him with a shotgun. Here's a reasonable reply. People that want the game to be unbalanced and true to the source material, but don't want Yajirobe nerfed are hypocrites. I agree. If this game was genuinely true, Yajirobe, Cyberman, and Hercule should get one shot by any characters past the Boo arc. And frankly, they should get one shot by any character past the Sand Saga. To be honest, Cyberman is the strongest character of those three, funnily enough. And yeah, once you get to Namek, Cyberman's getting one shot, okay? Let alone Yajirobe and Hercule. Hercule actually is the worst character in the game, in my opinion. He's not really relevant. Yeah, if you want to talk about lore accurate canon, which is your only other argument for like the game being unbalanced, this makes sense. Another reasonable reply. People complaining, but it's not even that harsh of a nerf. I agree. 2.5 bars is still a good amount of HP, which it is. All the other two, now, I didn't check every single one, but every single 2 cost DP character, which I did check, which was like 4 or 5, they all have 2 health bars. I think the only one I checked that this didn't apply to was Spopovich, who should have 2 health bars in my opinion, but whatever, man. And yeah, skill points are very easy to rack up in battle. You know how many times I've been in a match, I blink and I have 5 skill points? I'm like, when did that happen? All the time. I don't know, it's funny, like half the community, like this is very clearly very polarizing. Half the people are like celebrating these nerfs, and the other half are like, in my opinion, extremely overreacting and like blowing this way out of proportion. I don't think these nerfs are that drastic at all. Mind you, on top of that, like I made this tweet at 4 in the morning, and a lot of the tweets and like quote tweets I saw were people talking about like they murdered him, he's unplayable now, blah, blah, blah. You haven't even tried him yet. And even if he is unplayable and one of the worst characters in the game, it's fucking Yajirobe. That's how it should be. How many characters, look at the roster. Deadass, look at the roster. How many characters on that roster is Yajirobe actually stronger than in Dragon Ball? Matter of fact, fuck that. We gonna open the game and look for ourselves. Oh yeah, I think I'm fucking playing. I'm so deadass. Because like, it's not even like I hate Yajirobe with all my heart. I just think this makes sense. I just think this is fair. I can't wrap my head around people who think that this is a problem. And like, I get it to some degree, this is like opinion based, but we also are basing this in some sort of fact, some sort of reality, which is why we're about to take a look at this roster. All right, so boom, let's sort this by DP cost descending order, and let's go all the way down, okay? Hercule, worst character in the game, all right? 1 DP. Let's look at all the 2 DP cost characters. Is Yajirobe stronger than Chaozu? No. Is he stronger than a Frieza soldier? No. Guldo? Absolutely not. Roshi? No. A Cyberman? No. Spopovich? Maybe. Arguable? Debatable? Videl? Same. Like I'm taking Videl and Spopovich over Yajirobe. Who knows? Bobbity, Bert? Like, okay, like realistically, Yajirobe should be at best the 3rd worst character in the game. At best. Okay? He was very far from that. It's not about an anti-Yajirobe campaign specifically, but it's like, from a competitive standpoint, yeah, that shit was way too strong. From a Dragon Ball standpoint, Yajirobe was way too strong. So which one do you want? You want the game to be balanced around competition, or you want it to be based around like the lore of Dragon Ball? Because either way, this makes sense. How can you be upset about this? You know why you're upset about this? Because you're a loser who was using stall tactics, and this was way too easy to do. Instead of actually engaging with the game and playing it, learning how to beat your opponent, you use Senzu Bean because it was easy to do. And I don't know if you've tried it yet. It's probably still not that hard to do. It's gonna take a little bit longer to do now, okay? You might not be able to do it 4 times in one match like you could before because you build skill count so fast in this game. But to see as many people as I did talking about, oh my God, he's unplayable. Oh my God, they ruined him. They murdered him. Since when did Yajirobe have so many fanboys? Since when? Since when? You know, since when? Since October 7th, when this game came out in early access. That's when. October 7th, 2024. That's when everybody became a Yajirobe fan. Or I guess the 10th or 11th if you want to talk about when everybody else got their hands on the game. Y'all don't like Yajirobe? You liked winning. Be real. Be so real. Be so for real. And honestly, saying Yajirobe should be the 3rd worst character in the game is being generous. I'll give you Yajirobe over Hercule. That's really it. Every other character on the roster should be a lot stronger than Yajirobe. If we keeping it a wow. Here's a quote tweet from Easter Hands. I actually like this. This game is supposed to be unbalanced. Yeah, bro, when we said that, we meant Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is supposed to be busted, not some cornball shit like Yajirobe being top tier because he can cheese, which is what it is. Now, do I think the fusions and UI Goku, Vegito Aftermath Strike, like, do I think some of that stuff could stand to be touched? Sure. Simultaneously, it's a Dragon Ball game. They should be some of the strongest characters. It is what it is. Like, I do think Yajirobe being as good as he was is more problematic than UI Goku or Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta being as strong as they are, because they should be strong. And I think there'd be a lot of outrage if they weren't. You know how many Dragon Ball fans be like, how you make Gogeta not top tier? How is UI Goku so weak? I've seen it in DBFZ when they nerfed UI Goku and people are like, but it's UI Goku. He's supposed to be top tier. Like, we can't have anything. Niggas cried so much they damn near made him unusable now. It's Yajirobe! This series has always been an unbalanced Dragon Ball fight simulator, but you geeks whose egos revolve entirely around video games because you got nothing else going on are going to ruin the fun that this game isn't supposed to be balanced or competitive. Also, this right here, I get, I feel like the vocal minority, and I don't even know if it's a minority, it really feels like it's like 50-50, but I feel like the people who are like, let me not insult people's intelligence. I feel like the people who disagree or just have a different like opinion or way of thinking or whatever, right? It's so mind-blowing to me that tweets like this are like so refreshing. Am I the only one who thought the game will be unbalanced meant the canonically strong characters will be better than the canonically weak characters, and not just a refusal to buff/nerf characters? No, you're not. But I definitely understand where you're coming from, because I feel that way too. When they said the game would be unbalanced, which, by the way, at this point, I need to go back and find their exact words, because I don't know if they said bar for bar, the game will be unbalanced. But they definitely did say something to the effect of canonically strong characters will be stronger. So Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta should be a lot better than Yajirobe or Master Roshi or 99% of characters on the roster, to be honest. They didn't say that, like, we're not going to make balance changes, that we're not going to make updates. Now, with that being said, because they don't have this game, in mind as a super competitive, super serious fighting game, what I expect from them in terms of updates is like very minimal. I don't expect it to be balanced the same way that you would do like a Tekken or a Street Fighter or whatever. But I never believe that's like, oh, we're just not gonna make any changes ever. The game ships how it ships, and however broken and fucked up it is how it's going to remain. No, and I don't know why people interpreted it that way. It's not what they said. So shout out Mad Miko, because sensible tweet. Not too many of those. Damn crybabies, man. Sure. Clown World. Okay. I can't wait for a bunch of loser nerds who have never touched a Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi game to patch this shit to the ground so it's fair and balanced. I'd genuinely be surprised if these dorks try a vegetable without getting a patch note first. Only niggas celebrating this are fusion and giant players only. Why the fuck y'all balancing anything? Like, you can't win for losing. You're never gonna make everybody happy. It seems to me like the mindset that a lot of people have has been like corrupted by the idea that like, oh, the game's gonna be imbalanced, but like, it's like my homie, what was his name? Mad Miko. It's like he said earlier. It's like, it's not, when they said that the game wasn't going to be like super balanced, it didn't mean that they're not going to try to make it fair to some degree, or at least like accurate to the lore. Like, Yajirobe being good's not accurate to the lore. Him having a senzu bean, that makes sense. Him being able to use it infinitely doesn't, because senzu beans are not infinite. In fact, they're quite finite. Every single time, every single arc where senzu beans play a role, the senzu beans are always running out. The one time we saw a ton of senzu beans was the first time we ever saw them, and Yajirobe ate like handfuls of them hoes. Ever since then, senzu beans are always actually pretty scarce. Yajirobe would never in his life get to eat 4 or 5 of them bitches in one arc, in one episode, in one fight. You know, the idea that the game should not balance anything at all is completely and utterly asinine, in my opinion. Even if we're not trying to make the game competitive, that shit is not fun. Okay? Beyond that, it doesn't make sense to treat the game that way. If you're trying to make it so that the game is fun and reflects the series, these changes make nothing but sense. And I would expect that future changes that they make are probably going to fall in line with that. If it doesn't, I'll be surprised, and it is what it is. Whatever direction they take this game in will be interesting to say the least, but this is not worth outrage. It is not. I can't believe we have so many Yajirobe defenders with this right now. Like, obviously this tweet gained so much attention and like got so many replies and quote tweets that we could scroll here all day and just talk about this, but I think at some point enough is enough. You get the point, you get the idea. They fixed the bug where you can't tag your characters and you can't use your supers. Hopefully the game is running a little bit better for other people. I don't have the game on Xbox, so when it comes to any of the Xbox related issues, I can't speak on that. You guys let me know in the comments down below. And they nerfed Yajirobe in a way that I don't think is really that egregious, but I guess the Yajirobe players seem to think so, despite the fact that they haven't actually tried playing him since then. They just assumed that he's just now garbage, which it's Yajirobe. He should be garbage anyway, but whatever. Time will tell how much Yajirobe we see moving forward, and also what direction they want to take the game in and what types of updates they make. We don't have any sort of timetable or like vague release date for future patches or updates for the game, but I think this was a good one. I only see good things here personally. That's how I feel. I'm sure a bunch of you will disagree. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all the awesome content that I bring you. With all that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.